The Sunday school lesson for October the 8th, 2023 is Old and New. Romans chapter 7, verses 1 through 12. Does freedom from the law of Moses mean we can ignore it? Welcome to my channel, The Backstory. I am Audrey. Notice the agenda. I will share the backstory, read the lesson text, and offer a brief lesson summary. Thank you so much for everything that you do to help my channel grow one subscriber and one viewer at a time. The backstory. Let's begin. This backstory begins with Paul, who wrote the letter to the Romans when he was on his third missionary journey. This letter can be divided into three parts: God's righteousness and salvation, chapters 1 through 8, God's righteousness and Israel, chapters 9 through 11, and God's righteousness and practical Christian living, chapters 12 through 16. In Paul's letter to the Romans, you will find three tyrants of humankind: sin, chapter 6, verse 12, death, chapter 5, verse 14, and the law, chapter 6, verses 15 through 23. This lesson will answer the question, what is the rightful place of the law in God's plan? Verse 1, do you not know, brothers and sisters, for I am speaking to those who know the law, that the law has authority over someone only as long as that person lives? Verse 2, for example, by law a married woman is bound to her husband as long as he is alive, but if her husband dies, she is released from the law that binds her to him. Verse 3, so then, if she has sexual relations with another man while her husband is still alive, she is called an adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is released from that law and is not an adulteress if she marries another man. Verse 4, so, my brothers and sisters, you also died to the law through the body of Christ, that you might belong to another, to him who was raised from the dead, in order that we might bear fruit for God. Verse 5, for when we were in the realm of the flesh, the sinful passions aroused by the law were at work in us, so that we bore fruit for death. Verse 6, but now, by dying to what once bound us, we have been released from the law, so that we serve in the new way of the Spirit, and not in the old way of the written code. Verse 7, what shall we say then? Is the law sinful? Certainly not. Nevertheless, I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. For I would not have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, you shall not covet. Verse 8, but sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, produced in me every kind of coveting. For apart from the law, sin was dead. Verse 9, once I was alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin sprang to life and I died. Verse 10, I found that the very commandment that was intended to bring life actually brought death. Verse 11, for sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, deceived me, and through the commandment put me to death. Verse 12, so then the law is holy, and the commandment is holy, righteous and good. A brief summary. Moving from the illustration of master and servant, Paul used the illustration of husband and wife. A person is obligated to his or her spouse when the spouse is alive, but marriage dissolves at death. Since our life of sin died in baptism, we are no longer married to sin. Why should we be married to a dead partner? How foolish. Paul then anticipated more questions. First, if breaking the law brings slavery and death, does that mean that the law itself is evil? Second, if breaking the law brings death, is it the law itself that kills? Paul affirmed that far from being evil, the law and the commandment is holy, righteous, and good. Furthermore, sin kills, not the law. The law allows us to recognize sin and to see that there is a gulf between our nature and God's nature. Thank you so very much for watching. Join me soon for the next backstory. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe, and may God bless.